Hello, Legacy Sabers. Marsh here. So today we're going to be starting the conics unit. We're going to be graphing and writing circles today. What you're going to want to have on you, you're going to want to have your conics foldable. That should be folded. It's like an 8-stack foldable. And then you might want a calculator and then, of course, a pen or pencil to take your notes. So the first thing you're going to want to find in that backpack, the Cave of Wonders, is you're going to want to find this conic sections flip book. And the part that you're going to want to open towards, or the tab, is the circles tab. I know, really? We're doing circles. You're going to open to the circles tab. Amazing. But nevertheless, open up to that tab. And the top of it, we need to talk about some parts of a circle. You guys have heard these before. This is not new information. But you also have the dot in the middle, of course, and you have the outside. Dot in the middle is your center, and then of course the radius is the measure from the center to the outside of the circle. A lot of times that radius is important when you're trying to find, let's say, the area of a circle or the circumference. Another word that you may remember from geometry or just from further knowledge is when you have the full side of that, that is known as your diameter. So when you have two radii, two radius plural, that is the one diameter of a circle. So keep that in mind as you're looking at this as well. The standard form of a circle looks as the following. We have x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. H and k are the center of the circle, and r, of course, is the radius of the circle. Notice how it's going to be squared. So when we see an equation, we're going to have to square root the number on the other side to get the actual radius of the circle. Not hard to graph these circles. They're actually quite easy to graph. Let's actually graph one here. So I have x plus 2 quantity squared plus y plus 3 quantity squared equals 36. First thing I'm going to do is identify my center. Now my center, of course, is these guys right here. There's 2 and the 3. And I got to change signs because in my standard form, notice it's a minus. So if it's a plus here, that means it's technically a -2 there. So my center is at -2, comma, -3. And then my radius is this number. Now you're thinking, 36? That's terrible. That's huge. I can't fit that. It's okay. That's the squared version. So I'm going to square root it to get my radius of 6. Okay, so be careful when you accomplish it. Now, graphing a circle. Honestly, it's pretty easy. Find the center. So -2, -3. Graph that. Okay. And then what you're going to do for your radius is going to go 6 out in, I do 4 directions. So I'm going to count out 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Something like that. And then I'm going to connect my dots in the best circle Marsh can draw. Now, you guys have all seen how terrible I am of drawing. That's okay. You can draw terrible too. So there is my circle. I just graphed my first circle. Not terrible, right? Find the center, find the radius. You got this. Let's try another one. Now, again, I have to identify the center and the radius. But this guy, he doesn't have a center. There's nothing with the x. Oh, that's got to mean it's 0, right? So my center on this guy is 0, comma. Now remember, it's opposite sign, so it's going to be 1. My radius is square root of 64, 8. So I'm going to graph the dot, 0, 1. Oop, careful, Marsh. Graph it right. And then I got to count 8. Oh, 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, right there, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Yep, and then 8. And then connect your dots to the best of your ability. Whoa! Definitely did not draw that circle very well, but that's okay. We believe in ourselves. So there is my circle that I graphed. Another one, I'll let you guys do a quick pause of the video, graph it, and then turn me back on so I can show you the answer. Did you pause it? I don't think you paused it. Pause this video and try this problem here. All right, so you probably found a center of 4, -7. You've probably found a radius of 3. Once you accomplish that task, you found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You found this to be your center. Counted out 3 in all directions. And then you graphed. Oh, look at that almost perfect circle. Whew. Pretty good there. Okay. Now, we also want to talk about how to write an equation of a circle. So you're going to close the circle tab that you were just on, and you're going to want to open the writing equations, circles, and ellipses tab for me. And we're going to look at problem number 11 on here. So this problem, I got to find the equation of the circle with the given information. Well, they gave me this really cool graph, right? So I probably need, remember, a center and a radius. Well, where is the center on this guy? Well, across it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the center would have to be in the middle. 4, right? 1, 2, 3. Right here. This is probably where it is. So my center is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 is my center. Okay. And then what's my radius? My radius is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 for the radius. So I got to write the equation. Remember, it is x minus x value. So x minus 5 squared. That's how you notate it's a circle. Plus y minus the y version squared equals. Now it's just not 4. Remember, we had to square root when we were finding it. So we're going to have to square it when we're writing. So 4 squared, we're going to get 16. This would be the equation that I am looking at that connects to that particular graph. Let's try another one. So I got a center of 9, -4, and a radius of 2 squared. It's a 7. Whatever. We can do this, right? We're good. Now, let's find our center. We got x minus 9 squared, right? Because it's opposite sign. Plus, this is always a plus there. Y plus 4, because it's opposite sign, squared. Now, we need to talk about this radius. How, pray tell, do we square 2 square roots of 7? Well, ultimately, that just means to write it twice, right? So we're going to do 2 square roots of 7 times 2 square roots of 7. To accomplish that task, we're going to multiply the insides, multiply the outsides. So 2 times 2 gives us 4. Square root of 7 times square root of 7 is 49. But the square root of 49 is 7, right? So this is technically 4 times 7, which is 28. So that's what that is. So I'm going to rewrite my equation here. X minus 9 squared plus y plus 4 squared is equal to 28, in fact, for an answer. Okay. So be careful when you're squaring, when you get a radius, something like that. Now you're probably thinking, Marsh, how would I graph that? Well, what you would do is you would find out what is the decimal approximation of 2 square roots of 7, and then you would kind of guesstimate to the best of your ability. It's probably, close to 5, I would guess, for a decimal. Now, what if I have a center of -1, 7 and a point on the circle is 9, 10? So we have something going on. Whoop, my bad. We have something going on like this. I have -1, 7. Oh, Marcia's really got to fix her graph here. There we go. -1, 7. So -1, 7. And then we have a point on the circle, which is at 9, 10. So I know the graph looks something like this, okay? So I know that the distance between this center and this point on the circle would be my radius, right? And that's the only thing I'm missing. Now, how on earth can we find that distance between two dots? Wasn't there like a distance formula that you learned in geometry? Isn't it something like d equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared? That could definitely find us the distance between a center and the point of the circle. Let's figure this out. So I'm going to call this point 2 and this point 1. It doesn't actually matter. I just don't like to have the negatives to deal with as much. So distance, square root, 9 minus a negative 1 squared plus 10 minus 7 squared. Okay, so 9, those are going to turn into a positive. So I'll get a 10 squared there, right? So that'd be 100. 10 minus 7 is 3. Square that, I get 9. So distance is 109, which doesn't break down to my knowledge. I don't think there's a perfect square in 109. Let me check with my calculator here quick. Yeah, I'm getting nothing. So we're going to say that's the perfect radius. So in that case, when I start writing my equation here, x plus 1 squared, because remember it's my center, plus y minus 7 squared. And it's the squared of the square root of 109, which would just be 109, right? So I'd call that my final answer for this problem. Last one here, so hold with me. But now we got endpoints of diameter, so that means we got the outside, two outside dots on the outside of my circle. So I need to figure out the center. I don't have, and I also don't have the radius. Let's figure out the center. How can you find the center of two dots? How can I find the midpoint? Because that would be the center, right? A midpoint. Isn't there a midpoint formula that you learned probably in geometry? It was like x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. I know, you're like, oh no, I had to memorize that stuff. Remember it? I know. It's okay. You'll remember now. Let's figure this out here. So my center will be -4 plus a -8 over 2, comma, 7 plus a -17 all over 2. I will get -12 over 2. That's a -6. And then -10, -5. Correct? That would be my center. Now, I could now need to find the radius. Here's the problem. If you used these two dots to find the radius, you would be actually finding not a radius, you'd be finding a diameter. So you got to be super, super careful. You want to use the center and one of these two dots. It doesn't matter which one you use. I'm going to use the one with littler numbers. So my distance formula once more. I'm going to subtract the x's. So -6 minus a -4 squared. Whoops, sorry. Pen went a little wonky there. -5 minus 7 squared. Well, two negatives makes a positive, so -2 squared is 4. -5 and -7 is -12. Square that is 144. So I'm getting the square root of 148. Now, if I really technically wanted to find the radius, I don't think that breaks down at all. It does actually. It has a 4 in it. But that's not going to help me because I'm writing the equation. And I would just have to square it again, right? So I'm just going to leave it as that. In my case, I'm going to get x plus 6 plus y plus 5 squared is equal to the square root of that, which is 148. Now, I could break down the square root of 148 if I wanted to. If I did that, I would just have to square it, and then you would get 148. So don't do something that you're going to have to undo later, because that's just terrible to do. And that's the end of this video. So I hope you have enjoyed circular learning here, and I will see you later, Sabers.